Another magic armor set has entered the game, and I originally wasn't going to make a video on this. However, I've been getting a lot of questions on it, so I thought I'd toss together a video here on my thoughts on the new Masterwork magic armor. So what exactly is this armor set? Well, it is a 5-piece armor set just like the melee Masterwork, except this armor is a tier 99 that has the same set effect as the old trim Masterwork armor. Now, to keep this armor set in simple terms, there is no damage reduction done with this armor set. It is simply damage offset or damage delay. Now, what this means in practice is you will still take the full value of a damage. Say you're going to take 5k, but instead of it all being on the actual hit, a percentage of that damage, anywhere from 30 to 50, depending on if you're wearing 3 or 5 pieces, will then be turned into a bleed applied to your player. So on a 5k hit, you would take a 2500, and then you would have a bleed for the remaining 2500 damage that you still need to take. And what this essentially does is remove the ability for you to get one shot if you make a slight mistake. And it also allows passive healing like Soul Split or Eclipse Soul, Vamp Aura, the Masterwork weapons, things like this to help out more with survivability because you're not getting comboed out as easily. Thus, it won't overwhelm your passive healing as much as, say, just a flat 10k to the face would do. Now, there are some notes to keep in mind with this armor set. Yes, it does have higher magic damage bonus, but for some reason it has the same life point bonus as tier 90 tank gear. My guess is because this is technically a tier 100 power armor or tier 99. Honestly, I get confused on which it is. I believe it's tier 100 power armor. Regardless, the logic would be if tier 95 or tier 99 or tier 100 tank armor were to exist in game, it would have much higher life point bonuses, because if I hover over my crit bloom here, it actually has a slightly lower value. I believe this value is actually tied with primal. I go over to my primal set here. The primal is slightly higher, which is interesting. I'm not really sure why that is, but my guess is that these have a life point bonus that makes sense in the grand scheme of things, but we obviously don't have a dedicated tier 95 or tier 100 tank armor set to actually compare the numbers to. But with the full 5-piece set on, I am sitting right at 15k HP, so that further helps in aiding you not getting one shot by a boss. Now, the thing that we have to keep in mind when comparing this armor to, say, Elite Tech, which a lot of people have been asking, hey, is this armor better than Elite Tech? And the short answer is no. Sacrificing up to 6% crit chance is not worthwhile in terms of damage when comparing it to the slight magic damage bonus you're getting from this armor set, as well as the, I believe it's 3.1% chance from temporal anomaly that you gain when using the full 5-piece. But when you mix and match the two armor sets, you can actually get some combos that kind of get the best of both worlds if you're looking for a slightly easier time at a given boss. Personally, if I go in here and load up my preset for Sanctum of Rebirth, as you can see, I am using the Elite Tech legs and helm, and that is because with Elite Tech, the 2% crit chance is the same no matter what the piece is. So I wear the chest, the boots, and the gloves from the Masterwork set in order to maximize my damage bonus while still maintaining 4% bonus crit chance. And another thing to keep in mind is that using normal prayers with Eclipsed Soul, because Eclipsed Soul has not that much healing, like it's there, but it's not that good. This armor set in a 3, 4, or even 5-piece variant makes this a lot easier to use. So if you want to run the full like meme build where you're on 5-piece Masterwork, you have the maximum gamble chance from temporal anomaly, and you throw on normal prayers just to get some form of crit chance back, you can do something like this. I was using Elite Tech on normal prayers in order to get a higher gamble chance than Sliske in the past. This is before Elite Tech got its crit chance update, and it was kind of a fun meme build. I did enjoy it, and I have tested the full 5-piece setup with normal prayers, and essentially, unless you make a big mistake, you're not really going to die anywhere. And if you run the full 5-piece with curses and you're having soul split heal you, you're definitely not going to die anywhere. But in the context of having the best damage possible with magic, you would definitely want to run the full elite tech setup. You will want the Carapac wrist wraps, as having dragon breath causing combust to do even more damage, especially with the charging effect if you're at a place that can't be weapon poisoned. I will say this effect is slightly slept on because mostly people just farm resets, but when you don't get a reset, this is a very strong thing to take advantage of. And if you get a reset by using combust just after a dragon breath or in the time window of dragon breath, I believe the 30% from the dual wield set and the Carapac set, I think it all stacks. I could be wrong on this, but this setup on normals is going to be the best damage possible because you have the highest potential crit chance. You still have temporal anomaly if you want to play the gamble setup, but this is going to be your best bet for pure damage. Now, I'm sure by now I have put up some background footage for testing for y'all to look at, and I have tested both the 3-piece setup with the helm, boots, and gloves. I've tested it with the chest, boots, and gloves. I've tested the full 5-piece, and I've used magic in a lot of places with the standard best setup on both curses and normal prayers. And what I will say is technically it is better to run the chest, boots, and gloves as a setup stat wise, but the thing you need to keep in mind is you will have to get perks for a separate robe top. So if you don't want to perk out another armor set, that's just something you're not interested in, whether it's budget constraints or just not wanting to deal with the invention process, the helm, boots, and gloves setup will work just fine to give you that 30% damage delay and make some bossing experiences a bit more simplified and relaxed. Personally, I have found using a 3-piece setup at Sanctum of Rebirth to be very nice because with magic you can Vitpot tank 2 tiles on phase 4 if you get an unlucky pattern and you're stuck doing a channeled ability like Tendies, and every time I've done it, it is terrifying, but it does work. However, when I'm wearing a 3-piece Masterwork setup, I don't even think about it. I just sit there and tank it, and it gives me that peace of mind for just farming out some KC with Magic Camp. The only other place I could see this 3-piece setup, whether it's the boots, gloves, helm, or the body, boots, and gloves, is something like Arc Glycor, which heavily relies on passive healing, and you want the streak to go a bit easier for you. It would certainly prevent some of the one-shot deaths that exist there. Maybe not the pillars, as those will pretty much one-tick you regardless, but it would make going for high kill streaks at Glycor a bit easier. Zamorak at higher enrages, I could see the damage delay being nice, especially when dealing with defensive pen, because I believe the effect also works on pen hits, but I haven't tested that yet, so I'm not 100% sure. And the easiest way to describe this armor set is it's a convenience item. You take a slight DPS loss from the best setup in order to add a bit of comfort. One could make the argument that it'd be better to wear the Masterwork boots and only swap to enhance blast diffusion boots while using detonate, but 5 magic damage bonus and maybe a slight life point bonus, I personally don't think that's worth it. I would just commit to wearing the blast diffusion boots the whole time because detonate is a good ability. So in short, elite tech with its normal setup is still best in slot damage for magic as of right now. The Masterwork set is a nice convenience item. There are a couple technicalities you could land in order to get a very minute damage increase, but it's mostly here to either let people get into bossing a bit easier because they're not getting one shot all the time, or if there's a boss that you're really starting to get fed up with, like hunting a log or something, and you just want the hour to go a bit easier. Again, something like Sanctum of Rebirth comes to mind for this. I can see a 3-piece setup being used there, and I have used a 3-piece setup there in recent hours. And as far as doing a mixed setup or mixing and matching your armor sets, if you want to run a 3-piece setup, the best thing to do is boots, gloves, and the chest. However, if you don't want to perk out another set of magic armor, you can just rock the boots, gloves, and helm, get your 3-piece set effect, and be off on your bossing hours just full sending it. If you got this far in the video and you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. In the description below, I have links to a few other social medias, my Twitter, my Twitch. I do have a Discord that I will sit in from time to time, or if you have questions, feel free to ask them in there. If you want to go above and beyond in supporting this channel, there are super thanks, there's memberships, there's all of that good stuff. But I am going to call the video there. Thanks for watching. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, nighttime, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you next time for the next video. Peace.